Welcome dear students. Course name Determinant of Quality of Life and module name is Quality of Environment, consisting the sub-modules Factor influencing the quality of the environment, pollution hazards and practices, and environmental conservation for sustenance of life. Content including this module is Introduction to Environment Quality, Factor influencing the quality of environments, pollution hazards and their impact, environmental conservation practices, and conclusion and learning outcomes. What is the learning objective? This module is designed to provide advanced level knowledge on environmental factors that influence the quality of the environment. It will explore pollution hazard, the socio-economic, political and technological factors that exacerbate environmental degradation and various sustainable practices for environmental conservation. Upon completion, students will be equipped with the skills to critically assess environmental challenges, propose solutions, and engage in responsible environmental management. Now, introduction to quality of the environment. A quality environment is essential for healthy and happy living. The environment consists of multiple interconnected components, each with numerous influencing factors, that is abiotic, biotic factors interact with nutrition and energy cycles. Any alteration in one component can impact the overall environmental quality. To fully comprehend and value the environment as a whole, it is essential to recognize the significance of each of its components. Environment quality is a broad term that encompasses various characteristics including air and water purity or pollution, noise level, access to open spaces, and the visual impact of buildings. Additionally, it considers the potential effect these characteristics may have on physical and mental health, often resulting from human activities. In other words, the quality of the environment refers to the state of natural and human-made surroundings, including air, water, soil, and biodiversity. A high-quality environment ensures the well-being of all living organisms by maintaining ecological balance. Definition of environmental quality. Overview of what constitutes environmental quality, highlighting the interaction between abiotic, that is physical and chemical factors, and biotic, that is a living organism, flora and fauna. Components. Key indicator of environment quality is air, water, soil, biodiversity, and climate. There is the four following major areas are included in the concept of environmental quality. That is shelter, which relies on the standard and sufficiency of residential, commercial and industrial structures. Public health and safety, which addresses the advances of illness, mishaps and contamination of the air, water, soil, etc. Environmental efficiency, which promotes a variety of human activities and mobility and development of an environment that optimize people's comfort and quality of life. There are more intangible amenity factors in this location like privacy and aesthetic and visual attractiveness. Importance of maintaining environmental quality. The relationship between human well-being, ecosystem, services and environmental quality. The role of environmental quality in sustaining life, economic development and global health. Global challenges such as climate change, biodiversity loss, because extinction is going to gain great level, and pollution and their impact on the environment. Support human health by providing clean air, water and food. Ensure the survival of diverse flora and fauna. Regulate climate conditions and reduces the impact of natural disasters. Enhances the quality of life by promoting sustainable development. First of all, relationship between environment and human well-being. The term environmental public health, which describe the relationship between the environment and public health, refers to the physical, chemical and biological aspect of the environment, as well as the behavior associated with these elements that have an impact on human health. Environmental health determinants are the collective term for all these circumstances. First, poor environmental quality leads to health issues such as respiratory disease, waterborne illness and malnutrition. Environmental degradation affects economic stability, agriculture and natural resources availability. Sustainable environment practices contribute to the longevity of ecosystem and human societies. How to measuring environmental quality? Introduction to environmental indicators and indices. Example: air quality index AQI, water quality index WQI, and use of remote sensing, geographical indexes and environmental monitoring tools for assessing environmental quality. What is the air quality index and water quality index? Air quality index is indicator developed by the government and it communicates to the public how polluted the air. It measures the pollution of air. The formula by which it is calculated is I. I is the AQI, what air quality index, equal to I high means the index breakpoint corresponding to the C. C is the pollutant concentration and I low. Low means the index breakpoint that is corresponding to C high upon C high and C low. Means C means the pollutants, the pollutant concentration, and C high means the concentration breakpoint is more than C, and C low is the concentration breakpoint that is less than C, is calculated by C minus C low plus I low. That is the formula for air quality index. If AQI is 0 to 33 means category is very good and health advice is enjoy activities. If is 36 to 66 means enjoy activities because your air quality index is good, and 67 to 699, that is the air quality index is fair, means people unusually sensitive to air pollutions plan strenuous outdoor activities when air quality is better. 100 to 49, 100 to 149 means poor sensitive groups cut back to reschedule strenuous outdoor activities, and when very poor, that is 150 to 200 means sensitive group but avoid strenuous outdoor activities, that is everyone cut back the reschedule strenuous outdoor activities. 200 plus as seen in COVID period, that is hazardous sensitive group, avoid all outdoor physical activities, everyone significantly cut back the outdoor activities, physical activities. And what is the water quality index? Water quality index is the more calculated by key water quality parameter, that is the water clarity, dissolved oxygen and DO, pH measurement of pH near about 7, and temperature of the water and specific conductance and total suspended solids. Factor influencing the quality of the environment. This section will examine both natural and anthropogenic factors that influence the quality of the environment. Natural factor affecting the environmental quality, that is the geophysical factors, tectonic activity, climate patterns, natural hazards, that is earthquake, volcanic eruptions and wildfires. Ecological processes means nutrient cycling, primary productions and natural successions, and the role of ecosystems in maintaining environmental quality. Climate and weather variability, fluctuations in temperatures, precipitation and seasonal changes significantly affect environmental stability. Natural disasters as earthquake, floods, hurricanes and volcanic eruptions disrupt ecosystem and deteriorate environmental condition. Soil erosion and desertification as winds, water and human activities contribute to soil degradation, reducing fertility and negatively impacting agriculture. Next, biodiversity and ecosystem stability, deleting plants and animal species disrupt ecological balance and food chains. Anthropogenic human factors affecting environmental quality is the first is pollution. Detailed breakdown of types and sources of pollution, that is air, water, soil, noise, thermal, light and plastics. Land use changes, urbanization, deforestation, agriculture expansion, mining and their effects on habitat, fragmentation and biodiversity loss. Industrialization, that is the relationship between industrial activity, resources extractions, waste production and environmental degradation. Socioeconomic factors as population growth, consumption patterns, economic development and their influence on resource depletion and environmental degradation. And technological advancement, the dual impact of technology, positive, that is the clean energy, waste management versus negative as a e-waste or extraction of resources. Next is pollution hazard and their impact. In this section, student will explore the types of pollution hazards and their cascading impact on the environmental, human health and biodiversity. Pollution is a major environmental hazard that affect ecosystem human health and biodiversity. The term is widely used and something we constantly hear in our daily life, whether it be on television or in newspaper. By pollution, what do you mean? In general, pollution refers to the addition of substances to the air, water and land that have a negative impact on the environment, natural quality. In rare instances, pollution also entails the removal of environmental material rather than their addition. One of the biggest problems facing humanity today is environmental degradation. It mostly exists in three forms: soil, water and air. With the onset of the urban industry technology revolution, the quality of all three forms has likewise rapidly declined. Man's exploitation of natural resources to satisfy his materialistic demands is the primary cause of environmental contamination, endangering both himself and other animals. Thus, day by day, our environment is being deteriorated to such an extent that we have and even started crossing the critical limit, and the air we breathe has become lethal for our existence. Environmentally, we can classify pollution mainly into three types like air pollution, water pollution, soil or land pollution. Air pollution. Sources of air pollution are industrial emissions, vehicular exhaust, agriculture, biomasses, burning and natural sources, example wildfires, volcanic activities. Key pollutants of air pollution is particulate matter, PM 2.5, PM 1 to 10, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, volatile organic compound and ozone. Impact of air pollution on flora and fauna and on human being is respiratory disease, cardiovascular diseases, acid rain, ozone depletion and global warming. Next is water pollution. Sources of water pollution is industrial discharges, agriculture runoff, as a fertilizers, pesticides, untreated sewage, oil spills and plastic waste. And the key pollutants of water pollution is heavy metals as a mercury, arsenic, and nutrient as a nitrogen, phosphorus, and pharmaceutical pathogens and plastics. Impact of water pollution is on aquatic biodiversity loss, eutrophication, drinking water contamination, ecosystem services disruptions. Next is soil pollution. Sources of soil pollution is pesticides, fertilizers, heavy metals, hazardous waste, disposal and plastic pollution. Key pollutant of soil pollution is toxic chemical, organic waste and industrial byproducts. Impact of water pollution is reduced agriculture productivity, food contamination, soil degradation and loss of arable land. Noise and light pollution. Source of noise and light pollution is urbanization, transportation, industrialization and artificial lighting. Impact of noise and light pollution is stress, sleep disorder, hearing impairment and disruption of wildlife behavior and navigation. Regarding these pollutions, new emerging pollutants are plastic waste, microplastic, electronic waste, that is called e-waste, and their long-term environmental consequences. Practices for environmental conservation for sustenance of life. Business to business. In this section, Students will be introduced to sustainable practices that mitigate the adverse effect of the pollutions and degradation while promotion long-term environmental stability. Business to business means by social media, by advertisement, by television, by movie, by short movies, reels, aware the students and the public regarding the environmental conservation for sustainable sustenance of life. To sustain life on earth, various conservation measures must be adopted at the individual, community and governmental levels. These practices will be discussed under the following point. First, sustainable resource management. Second, pollution control measures. Third, policy and legislative measures and individual and community. Areas of the focus about the awareness of the sustainable development of the environment is business to business market scenario, develop winning strategies to keep ahead of the competition, capitalize on low-hanging fruit to identify a ballpark values, and visualize customer-directed convergence. Cloud-based opportunities is iterative approaches to corporate strategy, establish a management framework from the inside. Pollution mitigation strategies is air pollution control, technological innovations such as air filtration system, carbon capture and transitioning to the renewable energy sources, water pollution prevention, wastewater treatment, storm water management, green infrastructure and reduction in chemical use, soil conservation, techniques such as contour plowing, agroforestry and organic farming to prevent erosion and pollution, integrated pollution management, the need for integrated approaches that combine regulatory measures, technology and community participation. Pollution control measures. Pollution control encompasses practices that reduce, eliminate or prevent pollution at its source before it is created. Source reduction is fundamentally different and where feasible, more desirable than recycling, retreatment or disposal. Moreover, it is often more cost effective to prevent pollution from being created at its source than to incur cost for the control, treatment and disposal of waste product. When less pollution is generated, there are fewer impact on the human health and the environment. That is pollution prevention, implementing practices that reduce the eliminate waste at the source, such as modifying production processes and promoting the use of non-toxic substances. Next is waste management, encouraging recycling, composting and proper disposal of hazardous materials, minimize environmental contamination, and emission regulations, enforcing limits on industrial emission and promoting cleaner production technologies help maintain air and water quality. Sustainable development practices. The concept of sustainability, that is economic, social, environmental and sustainability and the integration into environmental policies. The sustainable development goal and their relevance to environmental conservation. Circular economy principle, reducing waste, recycling and reusing resources to minimize the consumption of raw material. Sustainable resource management involve utilizing natural resources in a manner that meets present needs without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their. That is the conservation of biodiversity, protecting diverse species and their habitats, maintain ecosystem balance and resilience. Sustainable agriculture, implementing practices like crop rotation, organic farming and integrated pest management, enhances soil fertility, and reduces environmental impact. Renewable energy adoption, transition to renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydroelectric power reduces reliance on fossil fuels and mitigate climate change effect. Land and habitat restoration means reforestation and afforestation strategies to restore degraded lands, combat climate changes, and protect biodiversity. Conservation of ecosystem, that is the marine protected areas, wetland restoration, and forest conservation practices. Policy about and legislative measures about the quality of life or environment. What is environmental law and what is the role of environmental lawyer? Environmental law refers to a range of legal framework aimed to safeguarding the natural environment, human health, and natural resources. It consists of an intricate network of regulations, policies, and status established to tackle challenges related to air and water quality, waste management, and pollution control. Environmental law establishing comprehensive legal framework to address issues like air and water quality, waste management, and biodiversity protection. Regulatory agencies as empowering organizations such as the Environmental Protection Agency to enforce environmental regulations to oversee compliance. International agreement is participating in global treaties like the Paris Agreement of Collaborative address the environmental challenges. International environmental agreement and policies. The role of international treaties such as the Paris Agreement, Kyoto Protocol, and Convention on Biological Diversity. The role of national and local policies in promoting sustainable land management, pollution control, and conservation efforts. Individual and community role. Grassroots effort plays a significant role in environmental conservation by fostering sustainable practices by the local level. Community-based environmental protection, engaging local communities in identifying the addressing environmental issues through collaborative initiatives. Sustainable lifestyle choices, individual adopting habits such as reducing energy consumptions, minimizing waste, and supporting eco-friendly products contribute to broader conservation goals. Education and advocacy, raising awareness about environment issues and advocating for policy changes encourage collective action and informed decision making. What is the environmental ethics and education about the environmental conservation? That is the environmental ethics is the understanding the ethical implication of environmental decision making, that incorporating environmental education into policy, business, and governance to create informed citizens. And ethical dilemma in conservation, balancing economic development with ecological preservation. Now the conclusion and outcome of the module is analyze the various factors influencing environment quality from natural processes of human-induced activities, critically assess the impact of different types of pollutions and environmental hazards on ecosystem and human health, understand and apply sustainable practices in environmental management and conservation, formulate policies and strategies to address complex environmental challenges at local, national, and global levels, demonstrate a strong foundation for conducting advanced research in environmental science and policy. That is the references of the, okay. Thank you.